We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Show Must Go On line. Today's guests are Joey Contreras and Brian Russell Carey. How are y'all doing today?
We're good.
We're good.
Yeah. How are you?
Great. So happy that we are connecting here.
Yes.
So, we always start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. And let's hear your origin stories. What got you both into singing and all that jazz?
I'll go first. Yes. So I'm from originally from Utah, and I guess my origin story is my family is very musical, and so I grew up. I grew up playing piano at a very early age. My parents are both musicians, and my brother is too, and so I just kind of grew up in that world. And I play a bunch of instruments as well. And for a while, it was like I'm singing, but I'm also playing instruments. And I was like, I don't really know what I want to do, but then I decided to go to school for musical theater. So I went to school for musical theater. I went to BYU, got my degree there, and then since then I've been living here in New York.
Yay! Good story. I'm Joey Contreras. I am a songwriter, originally from California, northern near San Francisco. Went to a boarding school in Santa Barbara, so I got a little bit of NorCal, a little bit of Central SoCal in me, and then was always doing theater and music, honestly, since I was like 4 years old. Did competitive tap dancing, was in musical theater. My parents were musicians, so music has just been a part of my life for a really long time. And then I was going to go to school for songwriting and vocal performance. I ended up doing musical theater, BFA program at University of the Arts in Philly. Wanted to get more well-rounded training, singing, dancing, acting, theory, all that stuff. And then that's when my writing started to really take off towards the end of my time in Philly, right when I was moving to New York. And gosh, I threw myself into an album with some really amazing people, and then went to grad school at NYU for musical theater writing, and then recorded another album. And just since then, I've been, on this path of developing shows, coming out with albums, working with amazing people, getting married.
Well, I love that journey for you.
Yeah.
So let's hear about how the two of you met.
Sure. I'll start with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my best friend, Brad Greer, who's on the In Pieces album, he told me that he was doing this John Denver musical called Back Home Again.
And it's a brand new show. Yeah.
Brand new show. It was rehearsed in 2016, right?
2016, yeah.
But it was doing a sit down in Walnut Creek, California in January of 2017. And he was like, yeah, we're going to Walnut Creek. And Walnut Creek is exactly where I'm from, world. And I was like, that's crazy that you're going to be literally in Walnut Creek, which is so specific. I have to come see you in this show. And he's like, yeah, I would love that. And he's like, also, there's this guy in the cast that I think that if you didn't hit it off, romantically, at least you would hit it off musically. He just, he gave me the whole rundown, all that stuff. So I was like, cool. So I went to Walnut Creek. I saw the show, and
I was in the show. So yes, but we actually didn't meet really. That night. My parents were in town seeing the show, and some of my best friends. And so Brad was like, "You need to come out tonight and hang out with the cast to meet Joey." And I had already knew who Joey was too before that. And I was like, honestly, it's not going to happen tonight. Like, I had plans with my family just because my parents were in town. So that night he hung out with the entire cast except for me. And then anyway, so the show ended. We came back to New York and was on Tinder, as one does. And one, like the third or fourth person was Joey. And I was like, oh, swiped right on Joey. You matched with Joey. So then I immediately messaged him and I was like, hey, like we didn't get to hang out a couple weeks ago in San Francisco. How's it going? And the rest is history.
There we are.
Wow. Sometimes it's just meant to be.
Yeah, it's really crazy because that one Sunday matinee of Back Home Again in Walnut Creek, California, Joey's mom, my parents, my brother, and we were all in the same room, and we didn't even know.
Wow. So to go from that moment to the engagement and the wedding, now I watched that engagement video and it is so sweet and emotional.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah. It was.
What went through, like, that clearly it's a special song. It was such a special moment. Like, take me through that whole journey.
Well, I don't really know. I mean, there was just so much happening during that time leading up, outside of all of a sudden knowing that I was going to get proposed to.
Yeah.
Like in that moment, I just released an album, Joyride. It was a huge project for me. It came out in March 22nd, 2019 was when it came out. And so we were doing a concert to celebrate that. And, Brian was, we lived together. He's a huge part of everything. Like, he's just a part of the whole thing and the excitement and the stress of all of that. And I had no idea that behind all of that and putting together a concert, he also was planning this huge, massive surprise. And he left no crumbs. Like I was so blown away, so surprised. And he was playing the whole show. Like
I was on stage playing the entire concert, playing violin, and the ring was in my pocket the entire show. And I was pretty, before the show started, I was pretty stressed and just nervous, and my nerves were very high. Once the show started, I kind of just like shut that off, and I was like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm like here just to do the thing. But man, once it got to like the last like 2 or 3 numbers, I knew. Then all of a sudden I started to get pretty nervous and anxious, as one probably would. But I can't believe it all turned. I can't believe the surprise happened. I can't believe it all turned out as it did, and yeah, it was pretty magical.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's cool.
Yeah. I can imagine playing in a show and having the proposal. Like that is just a lot going on, but it looked beautiful. It went seamlessly. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So let's dive deeper into the two of you performing together, because when we met at Broadway Buskers, like that was just phenomenal, and seeing the two of you and everyone else and Morgan Riley and Natalie Weiss, and like, so you have like a band of people that just seem to work so well together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing that is so important to me is being around really wonderful people all around. I write really difficult music, so I surround myself with very incredible vocalists. That is one thing, and that's that. However, you also have to just be a sweet, wonderful to work with, cool person. And so, I just have a really wonderful family of friends who I'm so grateful for, and who have been with me on this ride of, releasing music and performing, and over the last X amount of years. And Buskers was so much fun, especially, it was just one of those like really magical things to be doing in Times Square. I was so grateful to be a part of it. It was like, we had tried doing it like 2 years in a row, and there was like rain. It was rained out for 2 years.
For his night.
Yeah.
No.
It was kind of like 2-3 years in the making.
I think it was 3. Yeah.
Yeah. And but like and also to think about on it now, especially like with the year this last year, 2020, all of that, like how it's like this beautiful nostalgic thing that we all got to experience that together. And it was a lot of fun.
It was fun. Yeah.
It sounds like both with how the relationship started and with this, sometimes you have to wait for it.
Yeah,
exactly.
And and also like it wasn't like I said, because I knew Brian was very musical and really talented, but I still I'm also very protective of people that I let into, the collaboration process with me. And so we have funny moments and memories of me being like, well, I don't know, maybe one day you'll get to play with me, maybe.
I was like, okay. But no, I think what was important during that first 6 months of us dating was just establishing that, like, I like you because I like you. And that's the foundation, and because we get along, we do work together so much, and now we do a lot, but the foundation of it just establishing that there was a relationship there to begin with.
Yeah, I could imagine that those could be some crazy lines that you don't want to, feel. You have to feel it out, but clearly it's worked so well. And now the two of you doing In Pieces together, it's so wonderful.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's so weird. We're so proud of it. It has been our lives literally for the last year, just so much. And to have the response that it's gotten so far, and the joy that it's bringing people, and the excitement that it's bringing people is, it's still, we're 1 week out of, we haven't even reached 1 week of the album being out.
Yeah.
And every day, Brian and I kind of look at each other like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's out. Like,
I know it's been a huge project for us. The album and just the show itself.
Yeah. But it's been a good, I said this in another interview somewhere where I said that it was kind of came at the perfect time, because there's a lot, especially in the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of people were questioning like their worth or their purpose, or what could they do to like connect to the root of their spirit or whatever that kind of thing was. And I think that this project really kind of gave us something to just
do
and dig into. And
I agree.
Yeah, it's crazy how long the pandemic has really been, and obviously it's still going on, but to have a creative outlet that you can work with other people and do it all virtually. This whole album has been through quarantine. Is that right?
Yeah.
The entire thing top to bottom. We recorded all of the tracks back in the fall, basically, and it was all here in here. And it was just, Joey, me, and then we had sent the drummer, Josh Roberts. He has a home setup, so he recorded at home, and Justin Goldner also has a home setup too. And so, all of the music was recorded virtually, and then, when the singers, most of all the singers came in one at a time in here, and we recorded them individually. So that was obvious. Normally, we would have the 8 singers all together, just do it one day, call it good. So this did take a while. It took, what would have taken one day did take months. And then there was also some people that recorded that didn't live in New York, that recorded at their home setups or in studios in Nashville or Atlanta or wherever.
Yeah, we watched people. We literally were in George Salazar's recording session,
yes.
But he was recording in his like closet vocal booth setup in LA. And so just to and it's kind of incredible and beautiful and cool. And I think, also I think sort of in a weird way, like really ties into what the show is about as well, like literally recording pieces. And, but yeah, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
Wow. It shows, but it's just so beautiful. Like it shows in the hard work, but it doesn't show all the different aspects, because that is crazy. It sounds like everyone was there. It sounds like it was a standard album that everyone was just like, you could feel the vibes off of each other. How hard does that make it when it's usually like a group of people and everyone has to do it solo, but feel that same energy?
It is a challenge for sure. We definitely, especially for, I think Mia was the first person to record, and she then was recording. Joey and I had laid down some scratch vocals just so that she could record to something, so that she wasn't recording to just thin air, so that she could kind of feel some sort of energy. But then, as more people started adding on to that, we started taking our vocals out of it, and so we kind of had to build it a little bit, because you're right, like it it doesn't have, we're not all together, so we can't feel that energy. So Joey and I had to give that energy to them in the room, but also just kind of like logistically building it so that they were feeling like they were singing to something.
Yeah, we like to, we like to keep the energy really chill and focused but fun.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of these people I've worked with before. There are a couple that I haven't worked with before who are just also incredible people, and but for the most part, a lot of these people I have worked with before. So that dynamic is already built, and but yeah, kind of like exactly what Brian was saying. I mean, like Mia having to be the first person to lay down the vocal of "You Never Know," where there's gonna be a stack of 8 people eventually, but then also just kind of like, okay, in a normal situation, you'd be like, everyone would get the note, straight tone here, vibrato here, take a breath here, attack this moment there. But now it's like individually having to connect it so they all sound
like they were together.
Yeah.
So that there was, the cutoffs are the same, and the straight tone, the vibrato is the same.
Yeah.
Which was pretty unique, I think.
Yeah. And again, we're so excited and happy with how it sounds. It's like, we're so proud. But yeah, it was every time, every session was like, okay, I was like, did we give all the notes that we needed to? Does everyone sound, locked in?
Same, yeah.
Because we're both also pretty perfectionist-y.
Well, it clearly paid off.
Yeah.
So it's not just this album, though. I mean, we have, it's on Friday, right? The London, you have just like taken it and run with it.
I know.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, the origin of it is, a lot of this music was music from Joey's catalog over the years. And in 2017, there was a presentation at Lincoln Center of it. And Joey kind of was mentioning about, like, it kind of was a back burner project for, just because other things were happening over we were getting married, and, things were happening. And then in middle of 2020, Kent State University reached out and said, we want to do this in the fall for our students, musical theater students. And that kind of like reopened it up for us, and they did the production in the fall. And then we opened up we just decided, hey, you know what, we're going to make this available for licensing. Like this Broadway's not here yet. So we're just going to make it available for licensing. And that kind of sparked this collaboration with this production company in London, Future Spotlight Productions, and said, we want to do a musical film of In Pieces. That kind of started this over the last few months. Us them getting casting, they have amazing cast. The West End stars, they're all incredible, and they just doing this film.
So in addition to it being kind of like the recording process for the highlights had to be different because it was quarantine, now you're also going across the sea, and that, I'm guessing, is also virtual. How did that communication happen as you're talking to people in London, and the time difference and just all of that?
Yeah. So what's really impressive about this film version is that it was filmed in 3 days.
What?
It's amazing.
Yes, and rehearsed in 2. So a full 80-minute show, 21 songs, filmed in 3 days, learned in 2 days.
In the room, they had a little more time. They did some like Zoom, but like in the room, 2 days of rehearsal. Yeah. And when people see it, I think they're gonna be blown away, because the way that it is shot is so cinematic and exciting, and it's just such a feat. It's just such a feat. Yeah.
And the talent is incredible. And they also were recording their vocals. They filmed it with live vocals as well. So it gives you, they wanted to give it this feeling of like a blending of film, but also still like you're seeing a filmed production. So you see the mics a little bit, and it's giving that nice blend of real, of live theater with film, and this kind of new medium that has become a big innovative world in the last year in theater,
and that's what I like about it too, that it's not, it has a live theatrical quality to it. obviously it's on film, and it's not like what they would call like a pro shot, where it's not a they're not on a stage doing the show and we're just like in a proscenium and we're filming that production. It's not that, and it's also not really, it's not really in the Heights either, where it's like a full studio. It's kind of a mix of both, where it is, it has a live feel, and that's what I think is really cool about it.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. The promo videos look awesome. So much color, so much like it does jump off the video. And I love hearing that it's kind of a combination, since we don't have a lot of live theater happening right now. I know there are like some pop-up concerts happening here and there. And I was also lucky enough to see that in the Heights promo, or the did you see it?
I saw it too, yeah.
Amazing, right?
Crazy. It's incredible. Yeah.
Can't get enough. So it's so exciting to have that like extra element. And I think a lot of people might be confused about the London aspect if they can see it, but I did see you post about it. So can you share with everyone? You can see it wherever, right?
Yeah, it's worldwide. It's available worldwide. There's specific show times, and it's catered to a UK audience. The times are, however, they did add a 12:30 a.m. UK time, like a late night. So 7:30 p.m. for us here in the Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, if you go on to stream.theater and you look up the show times, they'll be listed in the British Standard Time. But then if you kind of hover over it, it'll tell you this is 4:30 for you on the West Coast or wherever. Yeah. But yeah, it's available everywhere. So we can watch it here in the States. If you're in Australia, wherever you are, you can watch it.
I am. Crazy.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
I was wondering when I first saw it, when it like the first promo video came up, I was like, oh man, I wish I could see it. And then I saw that post and I'm like, yes.
Yes. Oh, well, I'm glad that post was, because we wanted to make sure that the clarity was there. Yeah.
Definitely. So, okay, we've talked about In Pieces, and maybe we'll jump back to that in a little bit. But also, we've been talking about this deep catalog that you have, and both of you, just like the music, it's so vibrant. I feel like I've used that word a few times, but really, whenever I turn on your music, and Joey's, I feel like has one sound, and then Brian, yours kind of that like country, like I was watching the Old Soul video that you have on YouTube. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up listening to country music. That's like amongst a lot of other things, but like I definitely, Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, Kenny Chesney. I mean, that's who I grew up listening to. And I do love that. I love that sound. I play a lot of those instruments too, and I play the fiddle, I play the guitar, I play banjo, and so that music really does just kind of speak to me, and it's just kind of a lot of where my sensibilities come from is like late 90s country music.
Love it. It's, and I would venture to say pretty different than Joey's catalog.
Yeah, but I've actually been leaning a lot more in like the folk. I mean, look, I'm not necessarily, full folk.
No. Yeah.
But I think what's really fascinating is that not only have I been writing a lot more of kind of songs that feel rooted in kind of country folk storytelling music. I think musical theater also, in a weird way, does live in like country music storytelling.
Yes.
So there are a lot of similarities in where those kind of intersect. And yeah, I think what's also kind of interesting is just like arrangement. Arrangement can change everything, Like Love Me, Love Me Not has now 3 different versions of it out there. There's a version that came out back in 2009 with Natalie Weiss. Then there's the version that is Natalie and Ben, the acoustic duet version. That's just a very different vibe. And then we have this David Archuleta version, which is hello, David Archuleta. And that kind of adds this more, like kind of takes what Natalie's version was in 2009 and like brings it to this whole other more epic, grand soundscape with the strings and the whole, orchestra kind of coming in and whatnot. But there's so many different versions that we could do. We could do an even more country version. We could do a electronic version. So, yeah.
So what goes through that writing process?
Like in general, like, I mean, honestly, for me, my writing has always kind of either started in a journal or on my phone in voice memos, or there's like that kind of start of a song, or there's playing around on the piano. But
I think you're pretty piano based where it comes to like. I think you kind of like structure it out on the piano first.
Yeah. That's been kind of it's usually figured out on the piano and then expands from there. And that's honestly something that I've actually been starting to try to experiment, not doing that, be writing a little bit more like track first, top lining, stuff like that, just because I think that I want to kind of explore new, rhythms and colors inside of me as well.
Yeah.
Has there been any crazy moments where maybe you were on the subway or you were at Trader Joe's and something sparked and you're like, oh, I need to do this, and you wrote it down?
Always.
All the time. Yeah. I mean, I will be walking often, and then all of a sudden I'll just see him just start like voice memoing something. And sometimes I'll be like, who are you calling? Like, what are you? And he's like, I see to like, and yeah. And then he will like, he'll walk around and voice memo and, yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that. I could imagine you're just like, and obviously now it's so different. I can't believe, so what are we? It's April 21st and Broadway and New York kind of closed down. Was that March 12th or so? So I guess you've been focused so much on In Pieces, but how has that also changed creatively, going from this like vibrant New York City to keeping it more in your home?
I've always been a very studio-minded person. I love recording music, so the adjustment for me wasn't necessarily difficult. I will say it will be interesting when I do have a live concert again in front of an audience. That's going to be exciting, and I can't wait for it. But I've been feeling pretty creatively fulfilled for the most part. I mean, I've had definitely some ups and downs, but and then I also have 2 other shows that I've been working on and with other writing partners of mine over the course of this last year. That's been keeping me busy.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah.
I'm an actor. I'm an actor as well. And so obviously that's been something that's not happened, and that's been a shift for me. I was doing shows and contracts in 2019, and then I was literally performing. I was doing a quick little gig on a cruise ship for 2 weeks, just as like a guest entertainer. The week of everything, I was literally on the ship, and Joyce, I'm getting messages. It was crazy. So that has been like, I haven't been performing as much as I normally do. But it's like, I do love, I'm also a music director too, and a musician. So that's been fun just to dive into all of that more, and this year.
He's an incredible music director. I mean, I think that, and he also has an incredible visual eye as well. I mean, I think what has been a big thing that has helped, I think, with the products that we've been putting out, the content that we've been putting out, is that Brian also is a very visual person and has been able to create some incredible content for me. I mean, all the videos, all the pictures. I mean, I have my own creative director, music director.
It's worked out.
So yeah. Oh.
And I've got my co-host over here. Hi, bud. This is Slimbo. Slimbo, say hi. He's wagging his tail, so that's his version. Are y'all pet people?
We don't have pets, but we aspire to and hope to soon.
Yeah.
All I can say is he is such a delight. Some people have significant others, some people have pets, some people have kids, some people have all of it, but having a pet, especially during the pandemic where it's like, oh, I have to go out and walk him, I have to make sure he has food, like that has been really, really great for me.
Absolutely.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Again, it comes back to that like purpose and that reason to be keeping active in some kind of way.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, Brian, I feel like we just brushed over the fact that you were on a cruise at the beginning of a pandemic. Can we talk about that? Because I feel like I first heard about, the cruise ships, like who's going to be able to come back, all this, and then the quarantine. I mean, that must have been crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, I was performing with this this group. It's called Carol's Kings, which is this 3-man like kind of the Carole King tribute show. It's super fun, so cute, so great. But yeah, I was just contracted for 2 weeks to do a 2-week thing, and I was there for that first week, and on that Tuesday was when Trump was on talking about closing down Europe, the travel to Europe, and then Thursday Broadway closed, and I was just being like, what's happening? And the Friday we were there, and we were supposed to come back to the port in Miami, and there was so much unknown at that point. So at that point they were like, you're gonna stay on the ship. You're gonna do the next week. We're just not gonna have any passengers. And there was a moment where I was like, no, I'm getting off this boat tomorrow in Miami, and that's what's happening. And then it worked out, I did, and flew home, but yeah, it was kind of surreal to be, if you've been on a cruise ship, there's 3 channels in your room, right? So I was just watching Rachel Maddow on MSNBC talk about everything and just being like, wow, this is crazy.
What a crazy timing and experience. I'm glad that you're safe and okay and you were able to just kind of take control of the situation.
Yeah.
I know.
Wow. So transferring a little bit, I was looking over obviously both of your resumes and whatnot. And Brian, seeing the Red Roses, Green Gold, the Grateful Dead musical off Broadway, talk about that experience.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah. I did that show a couple years ago. It was here in New York. It was a new musical featuring the music of the Grateful Dead. And I, to be honest, didn't know a ton about the Grateful Dead before I did the show. But man, I grew to love it. The music is so wonderful. We got to work with Jeff Chimeni, he's the music director for Dead & Co., which is the current. Most of the players from some of the original members of the Grateful Dead are still together. John Mayer plays with Dead & Co. And so Jeff Chimeni is the pianist and the music director. He was also our music director, and it was an amazing experience. It was, the Grateful Dead fans are so passionate. It's like religion for them, and I really grew to appreciate that. And the people who are Grateful Dead fans are just Grateful Dead fans to the core, and it's like generational. And that was so beautiful. It was so fun having all of these people come out and see the show. And it was an actor musician show, so there was 8 cast members, and we all played all these instruments. We sang everything live. It was a book musical too. Like it wasn't a review. It was a book musical. But it was it was super fun. It was a great experience.
Wow, that sounds pretty. I wish I knew more of the Grateful Dead, but I could imagine that it was a great experience.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't really know much about.
I loved it. I loved it. I had a great time. Not only did I think Brian was so fantastic, I thought the arrangements were great. The cast was great. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah.
Is it cool seeing each other do each other's music, but then also you come together and collaborate a lot?
Yeah, I think that is really fun. Yeah. Is that fun for you? Yeah.
Yeah. I thought seeing him, because what was so great also was that Red Roses happened in the very beginning of our relationship. So I got to see him thrive on stage and be a performer, and he's so good. And So yeah, it was a big turn on, to be honest.
It's always fun having when I'm doing. I work on a lot of Joey's
You
stuff.
see my face so much, like you have to see my face so much.
No. What I'm saying is that like I do like work on a lot of Joey's things. But it is fun when Joey can come out and if I'm in wherever I am in Milwaukee or Louisville or whatever, and it's fun I think it's always fun to show Joey some of the stuff that I'm also doing, other things.
Yeah. I mean, I was saying that it's fun for me to see you in your things. At this point, I feel like you see my face so much, you must be tired of my face.
I'm not tired of it.
I love the way you talk about each other and you lift each other up, and you're clearly it's a love that's both in a relationship and musical. It's really nice to see.
Well, yeah, it is. I growing up, to be honest, like I always wanted a partner who was musical. Even though it would have been really hard for me if they weren't. I couldn't have really foreseen the like actual collaboration and partnership that we have musically. I couldn't have really anticipated that, but it was a big deal for me that the person that I ended up with was musical. I was like, I have to be able to sing with my partner. Like that's just like I don't know. That was a deal breaker for me. So.
Well, I'm glad it all worked out so well.
Yeah, it's very cute.
So Joey, you're talking about some other projects that you're working on. I wrote down Heartbreakers in Hell, and you've worked on some Disney stuff and short films. Can you talk about what you're working on?
Yeah, Heartbreakers in Hell is sort of the next thing that I'm working on. It's a couple productions that are scheduled for this year. It's a modern day adaptation of Dante's Inferno. So it's kind of reimagining that text and putting it in like a very hellish New York landscape. We kind of describe it as like Sondheim's Company meets a Lady Gaga concert.
Amazing.
So yeah, what's interesting is that this 2020 was going to be a lot of development for Heartbreakers in Hell, and that kind of clearly got shifted. So now we have these productions that are scheduled, and the route of developing work right now, especially, is a very all over the place kind of way. Because even within pieces, it was like we had one presentation back in 2017, and now it's like now it has a film in London. It's like, and there was never like another workshop where I got to like actually really so we're kind of developing. I've developed pieces in a very public way, and I'm now kind of developing Heartbreakers in Hell in a very public way. But I think that that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that I think people are fascinated by the creation of it all. So yeah, that's a show that I'm working on right now that is really exciting. And then I also have another show that we've released some music videos from a show called Forget Me Not.
I think we also at that Broadway Busters, there was a couple numbers from that show that we did at that concert.
Yeah, with Kristen Anderson and and so that show is still being developed. We had some great development at the end of 2019, and then we released a lot of digital content last year, and it's a complete opposite of Heartbreakers. It's like a very like emotional, stunning, epic, magical, mysterious piece.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So.
Yay. So I have to talk about Break from the Line, Joyride. Like I listen to these songs all the time. I just have to like fangirl for a second because they're so upbeat. I feel like I can dance around the yard. I'm taking Slimbo out and I'm just like feeling it. Do you get that feedback a lot that everyone just like loves your music?
I love hearing it. Yeah, I love hearing that. And so it's always nice to hear. I'm glad. I
mean, like, yeah, the short answer is yes. Like, and also there's a lot of people who haven't heard it yet. So it's like, where there's, I think Joey's fan base is quite loyal and passionate, and and we're just always trying to expand that circle.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, to be honest, yeah, it's always kind of just like trying to continue to expand the audience because
it's so funny. So you've been going back like the song "Love Me, Love Me Not." Someone even recently was commenting on it. It's just like, oh, I love this song so like I love "Love Me, Love Me Not" so much, and it's like this song is how old? Like the song is.
They literally said, "I just discovered it."
I just discovered it,
and so and that's great. That's good. I want that.
And breaking the line too, I feel like someone every couple of weeks will say like, "Oh my gosh, I just found this song," and and that's amazing. We want that. So keep,
everyone keep discovering.
Yeah.
I will keep talking about it for sure.
Thank you. What's Limbo's favorite one? Do you know?
Oh, I think Joyride, and I can't want to go on and on and on with you. He's really into that, tail wagging and all.
I love that.
The one good thing, I guess, about Spotify, I guess there are a lot, but that you can just click on an artist and it'll, instead of sometimes like it'll give you artists that are similar, you can just like get the whole catalog going from the different pieces. So it'll be like Break from the Line and Love Me Not and In Pieces, all kind of going throughout. So if you like one of them, hopefully now, especially with this new release, other people will be getting this older music as well.
Yeah, I think that's what's really been fun too. And I used to be a little more nervous to release kind of one-off singles. I kind of come from an album mentality, but we are now in a singles world. And so for the most part, especially with just how easy it is to just release music whenever, constantly. So I think, but it's been fantastic. Like, end of 2018, 2019, I came out with singles and I came out with an EP. And then 2020, I was coming out with singles again. And then this year I had this huge album. And I love it. It's my favorite thing to do. My favorite thing to do is to record music and release it.
Yeah.
So, and Spotify is really fun because I can make playlists on there. I just put together a playlist of the entire show because the whole In Pieces show top to bottom, which so now, because people were asking, why is it just the highlights? Why is this show just 10 songs? Like, no, it's not. The other songs exist. They're on other albums, but if you want to hear it in show order, here's a playlist for you to listen to it to the bottom. So yeah, it's fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely good to know. So, okay, Brian, we're going to switch back over to you. Whenever we have these dual conversations, I always try to make sure we can do as much as possible with the, I noticed that you're a music director, but also you teach a lot. What goes through that whole process of, are there any of those aha moments when you have a student and you're like, yes, I'm finally able to connect and show you why this is such an important aspect of something?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I love teaching. I do. It's something that I've always loved to do. It's like one of my. There's this Strengths Finder, which is like whatever. It's like one of those quizzes that you can do. It's a little more involved than that, but basically, Gallup's Strengths Finder. One of my Strengths Finder is developer. I love helping people just discover and learn things about themselves. It's something that I get a lot of energy off of. So yeah, I had a lesson just literally right before we had this call. And even with her, she just had some great discoveries, great breakthrough moments. And yeah, I love that. I love performing, and that is like such a passion of mine. But equally, I love directing. I love music directing. I love teaching, and I love all those kind of equally.
Do you have a dream role or a dream show you'd love to be in?
Yes, it's Parade, Leo Frank and Parade. That is it. That one. I think I got probably maybe like 5. I'm still a little young, so maybe in the next decade, I want to play Leo Frank.
We are going to manifest that and make it happen.
Yes.
Putting it out into the universe. Yes, for sure. So now is the time where we talk about any nonprofits or charities you want to shout out.
Yes. Well, I think one that we want to talk about today is the Lgbt Foundation. They are a wonderful foundation that we are also raising money for with the In Pieces film, and they are located in London actually, and they provide services for the LGBTQ+ community. Whether it be therapy support, And, again, it's just one of those things that's really important to create a safe space, a safe environment, make sure that people have an outlet, a place to go to it, because it's everyone's path is different, and it's important that people don't feel alone.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then I guess the other one would be the Encircle Foundation, which is associated with Love Loud, which is Joey's repping right now. But Encircle is primarily based in Utah, which is where I'm from, and it caters to LGBTQ plus youth and their families. I grew up LDS, I grew up Mormon, and that kind of community needs a lot of support when it comes to LGBTQ youth, and so that's something we've also raised money for in the past. Encircle.
Thank you, and we love a show and tell here.
We love it.
Got it. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I love how you both have your individual careers so strong, but also you come together, and it's such a positive force, I feel like, for young musical theater people and young LGBTQ plus people to see that you can have it all and you can really have this love and be public with it.
Well, that's so sweet. And without putting too much pressure on ourselves, to do anything, it's like I am, I do want to be vocal, and I do want to be, I do want to be an advocate for, especially for the communities that we're from, that we can be an advocate for, and I think that's so important. And visibility, especially for queer youth, is so important. And then BIPOC writers as well is something that there's not a ton of in the industry, and
that's really well said. I think what's interesting too, especially during these conversations that we're having, is just representation. And I feel like, for me personally, a lot of in pieces, for example, are a lot of my personal stories, but they're also very universal stories, and so they are for, you can make them queer, but because they come from a queer voice, but they also are, for everyone.
Universal. They're also the universal feelings. Yeah.
And it's I think that some people, I saw something recently, and I was like, that said that queer youth deserve to see happy queer stories as well. And so a lot of this music and in pieces deals with love, but it doesn't deal with love necessarily in a super tragic way. It deals with love in, very emotional ways.
And some loss.
But
not tragedy and the heartbreak that usually is associated with queer stories.
Yeah. So I think kind of the normalization of that is nice.
Yeah. Do the two of you watch Schitt's Creek?
Of course.
I had a feeling. I rocked out my Love That Journey for You glass.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Well, especially what you're saying about these queer love stories that aren't tragic. When I first saw that TV show, I was like, oh, finally, this is so nice. Celebrating love. What a concept.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you think especially this past year with them winning every Emmy ever, and then has that storyline of the fact that they're doing so well also kind of helped you in being able to produce this music and tell these stories and be like, okay, there is the audience out there and it's being supported?
I think the positive spin to the Schitt's Creek journey is that they finally got the attention and the exposure that was always there. I think it's fascinating that it took a while. It was on TV for a couple of years before it picked up anything, and so I think it's another example of trusting work, supporting work, and letting work have the time to really grow and catch fire. Because if anybody had kind of pulled the plug on that too early, we never would have known.
That would have been so tragic.
That would have been tragic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, the first season is really building up, and then eventually, I think it was at the third season when Patrick comes, like you have to wait for that. And then we've got Cabaret. There's just so many elements that not just in that show, but that it's so easy to see something and be like, all right, I don't know if this is working. Let's just hold off on it. But actually letting it breathe, I think, is such a good reminder for all of us that even if something at first doesn't get the attention that we hope it might, to keep doing it and keep believing in yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Are there, so let's make sure we get all of the social media handles and everything out there. And like, this is a good time to promote anything and everything you want to.
Go for it.
I mean, I'm so happy to have at Joey Contreras on all social media platforms, at Joey Contreras on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. It is all there. But there also is a specific Instagram for all things In Pieces as well, In Pieces Musical. And the TikTok is a baby beginning for the TikTok. TikTok.
The Instagram is popping, but yeah.
Yeah. So people should follow both and engage with both because
Yeah, and then mine is Brian R. Carey at everything: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of it. Yeah.
Yes, and sometimes you're very lucky to get a Casey Musgraves or a Taylor Swift cover from Brian on his TikTok.
Yes.
Ooh. I'm still learning TikTok. I must say I'm a little slower at that than I would have hoped, but it's really fun whenever I get the musical theater TikTok. I'm also very heavily into the pets TikTok, and I'm trying to figure out how I can get that algorithm to go more musical.
That's funny.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like all of them, favorite all of the musical stuff.
Watch all of them just to the end. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you find, especially Joey, you were saying that Brian helps a lot with the visual aspects of your music, but do you find that TikTok has become this new element that can really help spread the word even more?
Yeah, I think TikTok has, what's interesting is that all of the social platforms, media platforms have a different voice and a different thing that they can highlight. And so I do think that sometimes you creating content for Instagram doesn't necessarily translate in the same way on TikTok. So oh, yes, exactly. Agreed. I'm still learning my TikTok voice on TikTok myself, to be honest, because there are parts of me that are very just kind of dry sense of humor, but then I also have a lot of music that I want to share, and but also a lot of my music is not just, it's not necessarily me being the singer and the presenter of all of it. It's a lot of collaborations with other Broadway people, but then also a lot of kids and theater people and people that want to sing my songs, and so engaging with that audience, and that it's cool. It's a completely different community feel than any other platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if people can sing your music and kind of do that duet, I could imagine that's really fun.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the singers on the album, Tommy Kaiser, I got in touch with him because he posted a cover of Love Me, Love Me Not on his Instagram a couple of years ago, and I stayed in touch with him because I loved his voice and his tone. And then, I also got to continue hearing him sing on TikTok because he posted a lot of TikToks there. So it was a great way to kind of also just be introduced to new talent. There's a lot of incredible talent on TikTok.
Yes.
Ooh, I love that. That's so cool, especially for fans who see that there's like this real connection that you can make. I could imagine that young theater artists are like, oh, wow, I can actually make a connection, stay in touch. I love that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you came into today wanting to make sure to say to your fans? Brian, let's start with you.
I don't know. I think we covered a lot of it. Just go stream In Pieces. That's what's happening right now. So go stream it and go watch the film.
And if you want to purchase it on iTunes, that is even cooler and great. A great way to support as well.
Yes.
iTunes does still exist. It's just under Apple. It's under like the music thing now. So
no, that's actually a good point. Yeah, it's like if streaming is great, we love that. But if you love an artist, buy it, because you get a lot more money when you buy it, and then if you just stream it. So
yeah, because I mean, I do. I think a lot of people sometimes think that I'm a bigger operation than I am, and I'm not. I'm still. It's predominantly Brian and me, and I do have a small little team of people that help with the licensing and some other administrative things. But right now, it's I don't have a big machine behind me, so it does, every little thing helps for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. No, that's really helpful. Also for your YouTube channels, because I know both of you have that. Is that as helpful for people to be streaming that way as well?
I mean, yes, but also, I mean, buying it is a lot more. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, definitely, we'll take any stream anywhere.
Yes,
basically,
we will take your streams. We will take your pennies. I think what's really cool too about YouTube and is just, again, seeing the content that we're making in the best quality.
Definitely.
That's so, like, because we do put a lot of work in the visuals,
music videos.
The music videos with Soleil, and we have another video coming out soon. You'll be able to look out for that. The best way to really see that at the top quality is on YouTube.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the honest and open. I think a lot of people do wonder if there's, I mean, your videos, both of you, like, they're such high quality that I think people can get confused and think that there's like a huge, massive team, and not realize that supporting theater artists, especially right now, is so important, and finding any way to support is highly recommended.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So I will just give my quick plugs that y'all can find me at BWaySHO. That's BWAYSHO, as you see here through this banner from Chelsea Hill, aka Illustrating Diva. We also have BWaySHO, the podcast. So the show must go online, which we are chatting on right now, then turns into BWaySHO, the podcast. So you can enjoy these conversations either through video and chat, or just an audio as you're walking your dog or doing the dishes. So many options. And Patreon, which I don't know if the two of you have thought of or worked on, but that has been great. So we have the Showtreons, and we do weekly trivia, and it's a fun time. So to all looking to support artists, journalists, musicians, please, like, it is great. And everyone just go listen to In Pieces, go get the video. I am so excited, and I can't wait. I'm just gonna probably do one of the really late evening ones and get that London spirit.
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to say thank you again for all of your kindness, support, and everything. I mean, thank you for letting us chat with you on your show, on your platform. And I can't wait till we can see each other in person again.
Yes. I just want to reemphasize how, seeing your performances, the two of you and your group at Broadway Buskers, it's hard when there's a lot of people and there's a lot of noise and traffic, and you grab the attention of everyone there that day. It was so special, and to be able to have that memory was so wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And thanks everyone for watching. If you're watching in the future, I hope the future is treating you well. And two of you, be safe. Everyone wear a mask. I hope you get your vaccine soon, and we'll see you at the show. Bye. Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.